Hello again. So in this video, we are going to go over how to use your selfie stick and some different shot styles that you can get with your selfie stick. Now before we get into that, we're just going to talk about a term that may be familiar to some of you, but that will come up when thinking about how best to shoot some of these videos that you're going to put together. And that is A-roll and B-roll. So A-roll is the primary video used in a piece to relay information and kind of dictate the pace and direction of the video that we're going to make. In this instance, this video right here is the A-roll. This is how I am letting you know what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what we'll frequently come back to as our kind of touchstone as we work through different ideas. Now, paired with A-roll, you have B-roll. B-roll is any kind of supplementary footage that is used to help explain or draw out or add more information to the A-roll to help with clarification. So here is a very blunt example of that. I have 2 plants that I am currently trying to grow, and I have to make sure that I water them every day just enough. So this means that I'm doing just enough water so that it doesn't overflow. As you can see, I started by letting you know all the relevant information in the A-roll, and then the B-roll just helped show what that amount of water might look like. So in our previous video, we got into the A-roll, if you want to record yourself direct to camera, if you want to record a voiceover. But in this video, we're going to get into some B-roll options. How can you shoot yourself doing an example of something or a supplementary bit of information that can help clarify whatever your key point is going to be. But throughout this, I think the big thing that will be a useful sort of little nugget to think about as you're beginning to create your own videos is, what do I need to show? What do I need to show and tell? And how can I most effectively do that?
This is what your selfie stick will look like out of the box. Rotate the head like so, and flip open the 2 brackets. This is where your smartphone will go. The selfie stick can be extended simply by pulling. It also comes with tripod legs. To turn on the selfie stick, simply press and hold the button with the camera icon. In a moment, you will see the blinking blue light, which means it's on. On your phone, turn on Bluetooth. Then go to Settings. Find where your device has Bluetooth settings. For Android, it looks like this. Select Pair New Device and look for SelfieCom.
iPhone, similarly, you go to Settings, you click Bluetooth, you look down in your Bluetooth to find SelfieCom, click and pair.
Now you can mount your phone in between the brackets. Now let's run through some basic setups for B-roll. Make sure to open the camera app on your phone and set it to video mode. Then you can press the camera icon on the selfie stick to start and stop recording. We'll start with a wide shot of an activity you like to do, such as reading. To achieve this shot, we'll be using the tripod functionality of the selfie stick. Because we're in tripod mode, we're going to be using the rear-facing camera of the phone. When possible, you should always use the rear-facing camera, as it's typically much better quality. To switch between front and rear-facing cameras, tap this icon here. Before we start recording, we need to make sure our camera is level. To do this, switch back to camera mode. You'll see as I tilt the phone, a line and degrees counter will appear, allowing me to make adjustments to the phone and make it level. And now we're ready to record.
Wide shots are great for showing a full body example of, say, dancing or any kind of exercise, and shooting them outside is frequently a great way to get consistent light and enough space. However, if outside is not an option and you need to shoot something inside, here are some things to consider. The first, light. You may have noticed that if you ever do anything in front of a window, it freaks your camera out. The camera also gets a little nervous when you come closer or farther rather rapidly and the focus points can't quite find you. This is just because the camera is trying to compensate for changes that are occurring on screen. And if you want to eliminate them, then you have to sort of offer a kind of consistency to the camera. So what that means is to try and stay in the same plane, so not to come too close or too far, but to really try and keep your movements all the same distance from the camera, and to try and stay in consistent light. Again, this is thinking about having a light source come from behind the camera and onto you as evenly as possible. Another useful way to ensure that you get this kind of consistency is to lock the exposure on your phone. Now, a lot of phones come with a built-in exposure lock already. iPhones do, Google Pixels do, as exemplified here with Ryan's phone. I have a deeply simple Android, and so I needed to download an additional program, Open Camera, which allowed me to lock my exposure, and it gives me just that much more control over what my camera is doing. Another thing that is useful to think about when shooting inside or when trying to shoot a full body shot is shooting vertical. I know that it is not celebrated in a lot of spaces and people are always like, ooh, don't shoot vertical, but it works. If you don't have a ton of space or you really just kind of want to hone in on just you and not have this kind of background additional information, then shooting vertical is a great way to just focus on the things that you want to focus on. And hey, if it doesn't win an Oscar, it doesn't win an Oscar. Another useful shot style is shooting down at a table or a desk. This is something you can do with your selfie stick pretty easily and really is a joy to know. In order to do this, you will use your selfie stick, once again shooting with the back camera, tilt it as far down as it'll go, extend it, in my case I'm going to extend it all the way up, and set it on the surface that you're trying to record. One thing to be wary of is it can get a little top heavy, so you may need to hold the back down just to ensure it doesn't fall over. Once it's extended and set up, then you just look through to ensure it's covering the area you would like to cover, and then you can get to work. I found that it's useful to set the selfie stick up from the vantage point that you are looking at things, so in my case that means just setting it up right in front of me so the camera is kind of mimicking the same perspective that I have.
Now let's do some walking. First, extend the selfie stick to its maximum length, and extend your arm as well. Then just walk. Focus on your surroundings and take in the views. We can get a side angle by simply adjusting the position of our arm. I was also able to get a closer shot of my face by simply adjusting the way I held the selfie stick. Let's get one more walking shot, but this time going back to tripod mode. Remember that you can adjust the tilt of the phone while in tripod mode if needed.
Another useful shot is a close-up, which is just so deeply handy. Close-ups are great for showing one specific part of a picture. They're really useful if, say, you're talking about a hand position or a toe position, or you name it, you know it. Close-ups will truly pop up all the time. Now let's go to Ryan to see some examples.
For this shot, I just had to move my setup a little bit closer. Now we'll get one of my face. I don't have anything to raise the tripod, so for this we can switch to selfie stick mode. Notice how I'm resting my elbow in order to balance the selfie stick. For this last shot of me reading, we're looking up from under the book. Still on tripod, let's get a keyboard shot. And lastly, a face shot. Again, I didn't have anything to prop up the tripod, so I used the selfie stick and just made sure to rest my elbow and balance the phone as much as possible.
So Ryan showed us some great examples using himself, but frequently you're probably going to need to also think about this in terms of an object. So say we're talking about sewing, and we'll use this mask as our example. It's beautiful, it's got poise, and we want to talk about the threads. We could, as opposed to doing something like this, where we just sort of like hope to get it right and sort of have to rely on trying to get it in focus and hold it still enough. Instead, if we shoot a close-up and then add it in, now we're able to control exactly how much we're showing and all around make it an easier viewing experience. These are just a couple tips and tricks to think about when putting together your own work.